We're still in the midst of the NFL preseason, but September is just right around the corner, and the Baltimore Ravens are hungry for another playoff run, maybe a more successful one this season. So to break down the Ravens preview, I have to bring in CBS Baltimore sports anchor and expert Mark Viviano. Hey, how's it going over there in Baltimore?
Good, Katie. Good to be with you.
Good to have you. Mark, what is the key, jumping right in, what is going to be the key to the Baltimore Ravens' success this season, new season, 2019-2020?
Well, this isn't even speculation or media observation. This comes from the owner himself, who told season ticket holders, it all falls on Lamar Jackson. How's that for pressure when you're a 22-year-old quarterback? So that's going to be the key. This is his first season as an NFL starting quarterback for a full season. He took over midway through last year and was able to kind of ad-lib his way through a successful run. They made it to the playoffs, as you mentioned, and he did it without a full playbook and without the full complement of practice time. But now he's had a full offseason to get acclimated. He's worked a lot on his passing skills, trying to be more consistent. I can tell you by being around the team and being around him, he's certainly more comfortable being a leader, which a quarterback needs to be, and he certainly wants to be. So how he adapts to his first full season in the NFL is really going to set the tone for how far this team can go.
Mark, it sounds like you have a true leader stepping up on the offensive side of the ball. Now the Ravens on the defensive side of the ball, they were the strongest in the NFL last year, no doubt, but they lost several key players, including 4 starters. So how do they plan to compensate for that?
Well, number one, and this you answer the defensive question with, they hope the offense is better so the defense doesn't have to be the best in the NFL, which they were last year. But they do have high hopes. They had what you would call a brain drain, in that many of their most experienced players departed. Terrell Suggs, by far, a 16-year veteran, he leaves. They also lost Eric Weddle, who was a very experienced safety and really the quarterback of the defensive backs, and C.J. Mosley, who was basically the quarterback of the defense. So those guys are gone. But when you add Earl Thomas to the mix now, he's a guy who's played in 2 Super Bowls with the Seattle Seahawks. That's a significant return for those guys who left. You're going to see some youth at the linebacker spot now, with Patrick Onwaso kind of taking C.J. Mosley's spot, and Chris Board, an undrafted guy, playing alongside him in the middle. So they're going to do their best to fill in those significant holes. Many believe, though, that the Ravens do have the best defensive secondary in the NFL, and in a passing league, that should bode well for them.
Mark, you followed the Ravens through training camp and currently following them all throughout the NFL preseason. I want to ask you, this year in comparison to last year, are there any noticeable differences in Eric DeCosta's first year as GM? Because it was 23 years of Ozzie Newsome. So what are the main changes here?
Well, Ozzie's still around, and he's still very much a part of the front office, though in title it is Eric DeCosta's team. And one thing DeCosta has done in his first year, he has swung some significant trades. He traded Joe Flacco and got a 4th-round draft pick from the Denver Broncos for a guy they weren't going to use anyway. So that's a pretty significant pickup. They traded kicker Curry Vedvik. They had an extra kicker. They already have the best kicker in the NFL, and they traded an extra kicker for a 5th-round draft pick from the Minnesota Vikings. That was a significant pickup. I think this DeCosta put his print on this team with the draft of the first draft pick under his tenure of Marquise Brown, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma.
This is going to sting for me to even mention this to Ravens fans everywhere, but a heartbreak loss to the Chargers last year. I know it's so early. We're in the preseason, but will the Ravens make another playoff run this season? What do you think is going to happen towards the end of this year?
I think they will, Katie. My sense is their team built right now, and it's all going to depend on how it plays out with Lamar Jackson. I see them winning 9 or 10 games, and I believe that will be enough for them to earn a playoff spot, at the very least as a wild card again. And they could win more than that. I don't see them winning less than 9 games. That's just my sense of this team. Being around them, they've never lacked confidence, and Lamar Jackson's going to, I believe, he's going to take the next step in his development and be in his first year as a starter, lead this team to a playoff berth. We'll see, but I think the early indications are quite good for the Ravens.
All right, Mark, I'm going to hold you to your predictions at the end of this year. We'll check back in with you then. But until then, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. We look forward to speaking with you in the future very soon. The Ravens kick off their regular season in Miami against the Dolphins September 8th. Katie Johnston, WJZ.com.